talking with seniors from Trinity Classical Academy. We've talked with Rachel, and we've talked Rachel Anderson, John Nichols. John, your thesis is, again, this is about the Christian argument for space exploration. Can you talk to me a little bit about why that even was on your radar, and why just a little snippet of why that's important?
Yeah. So my thesis is essentially a list of arguments for why we should want to explore space. The predominant one is a theological argument, because you don't hear often Christians arguing for exploring space. You often hear secular scientists or coming from a secular perspective why we should explore space. And I took that and put it in a Christian context. So my main argument in my thesis is a theological one, taking passages from the Bible and arguing for why they say that we should explore space, should have like dominion over the stars, essentially.
I love that. Why did you, where did space, again, where did that come up on your radar that it was a thing? Was that something you talked about in school, or was it a book you read? Was there one particular moment where space became interesting to you?
Yeah, both my parents are engineers, and they both work in aerospace, and they have for a really, really long time. So
it was over
that was always a thing for me.
Right.
It was always like part of like topics at the dinner table. It's always about aerospace, what was happening in space, that kind of thing.
So nice. It was a family thing, and now you're bringing another element. Okay, Andrew, you are the upper school humanities. You're part of the faculty, the senior thesis coordinator.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what your position is. Talk to me a bit about this.
Sure. Well, Mr. Weichbrodt and I advise the seniors who go through this program. He has half of them, I have half of them. I came on board just a couple years ago. We need to give credit to Mr. Weichbrodt for coming up with...
You're the humanities chair.
Yes, if you want to say that.
Well, that's what they told me. You're the senior thesis coordinator also. So you work in together with splitting the seniors. You have 21 seniors.
Yeah, that's correct.
So between the two of you, you take care and kind of oversee their thesis project?
Yeah, that's right. We help them come up with their topics initially. So a student like John might come in and say, yeah, I want to write about space. And then we push them to identify a certain area that has some controversy to it, because we want our theses to be meaningful. And to be meaningful, there really has to be some kind of disagreement there. And so we push them to find that disagreement and then begin to craft their arguments in light of that disagreement.
I like you people. And the idea that it's reasonably disagree, I do like that. Zach Weichbrodt, tell me a little bit about some of the other senior thesis topics that you had this year from your seniors.
Sure. One of the things that I really like about this process is it's something that all of our students do. So you just heard from Rachel and John, who are interested in going into political science, interested in going into engineering, but the ability to be able to speak well about controversial and substantial topics is something that we expect all of our students to come with, regardless of their particular academic interests or the things that they might be skilled at. So we heard a number of different kinds of arguments, some about the nature of justice and how that should be applied in our criminal justice system. We heard some about immigration reform in America. We heard some about the value. Boy, I'm blanking all of them. It's such a wave.
It's the immigration reform in America. I know I've been given a list of some of them. The Christian duty to vaccinate children. Now, this was a huge thing. There was a film that was taken out of the New York Film Festival because that was a topic of conversation. The ethics of protest, defense of the Catholic understanding of marriage, societal versus Christian views of dying well. Are these going to be up for public consumption? Because you have topics that I would very much like to read and hear your students and their statements for and statements against. I would love that. The Iraq War and just war theory, why America needs an aggressive military foreign policy, and the need for Christian feminism. Wow, you didn't shy away from some very big topics.
No, it's really these students who have interests that they genuinely care about and want to pursue, to learn how to think better about, and then even more than that, be able to articulate their position amongst a group of people who, while they share some ideas and values in common, also disagree about a lot of these things. And you mentioned earlier, maybe our political climate is one where it's hard to have those kinds of reasonable disagreements, but these students are getting practice doing that in a community where we can hold one another as being maybe more valuable than the arguments that we're offering, and figuring out how to do that in a community of mutual care, support, desiring the good for our community as well as one another, not just having the right answer that you can convince other people about.
And you were going to say, Andrew?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, too, that one of the things that surprised me when I came on board, was just how meaningful these topics are for our community. So I heard
certainly important and to be discussed, but the idea that passion and grace don't always go hand in hand. There are a lot of people that will want to argue about something, but you're coming at this from really a lovely, as it is the Academy's Humanities program. You're really touching on the human aspect of how to have these conversations. Now, when you're, I'm curious for both Rachel and John as seniors, how was this for you? And Rachel, I'll ask you first. To be a woman, to now have this strong voice about something. How did that help shape you, or how did you come to it before it was presented to you to do this?
I think it was a really unique opportunity, and that's one of the things I love about Trinity is that throughout all of high school and all of junior high, they're raising men and women who can stand up for their beliefs and speak well. So I think that this thesis was a really good culmination of that. We learned how to write a 40-page paper, how to research well, how to present in front of a whole audience. So I think for me, as personally, it was an amazing opportunity, and I really grew in many ways.
Nice. I'm curious, John, with the science, because that is sometimes a topic that, as you mentioned, it's not always up for consumption. There are a couple great books. Francis Collins wrote one about science and his belief system. Were there any other icons that you look up to? Are there any that you say, you know what, I'm going to carry that torch, something that's already been put out there?
Augustine, a long time ago, in, I think it was City of God, he talked about how we shouldn't, because we have our eyes focused on heaven or God, we shouldn't ignore the earth and what that says about God. It was essentially an argument for science and gaining knowledge.
I love that. Again, my question is, do the rest of us get to read these? Are these going to be somewhere if we wanted to? Because they're really wonderful, wonderful topics. And if you haven't thought about it, I think a lot of people would be interested to hear what the young students at Trinity Classical Academy have to say.
Well, yeah, we have the good fortune of having recorded them, having volunteers that are on point with that. And so those will be up on YouTube actually fairly soon. And you can actually go on YouTube right now and search for senior theses from years past.
Hopefully book due 2017. Well, thank you all for coming in today, and good luck as you go on. I mean, the college decisions for the Trinity Classical Academy students: Arizona State University, California Baptist University, Collin College, Concordia, George Washington University, Gonzaga, Grand Canyon University, Pepperdine, Providence, Masters, United States Naval Academy, UC San Diego, UC Berkeley. Really wonderful, wonderful horizons ahead for your students. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for stopping by.